Okay, so welcome back to another one of my Agony Aunt real life Sunday chats. Now, as I mentioned, today I've got Annie on, who is one of my closest friends in the world. Also very good at giving advice, but also a fountain of beauty knowledge because she is a beauty journalist. That's how we met, as I mentioned. So we are going to talk about, over to you.
Yeah, about cosmetic procedures, tweakments. There's so much out there at the minute, it's so accessible and it's all very current, and I think we both get asked about it quite a lot.
Yeah, I do get it a lot, particularly, you know, in regards to what I've personally had done, which we will go into detail on today. So I obviously put some questions up only today, so all the questions that we've had through are very fresh. We only had them in the last hour or so. So we're just going to work our way through questions that we've had sent over, and we will both answer to the best of our knowledge.
Yeah, and it's worth saying as well that neither of us are obviously trained in any of this, and we're not professionals in the aesthetics area, so that's our sort of mini disclaimer. It's all opinion and it's all based on our own experiences, so sort of take everything like that.
So basically, don't troll my inbox with abuse because we're not claiming to be professional. Okay, so let's get started because we don't have ages. So the first question, and the most obvious question, is what have you both had done? So I'll start. All I have had done is botox, and I've had baby botox. I've now had it done, I believe, either two, I think I've maybe had it 3 times now, and I've only had it with the same person again and again, and I do have what is called baby botox. So it is much smaller amounts, administered in much smaller proportions basically. So I have it done with Dr. Holly at the Waterhouse Young Clinic in London. She is amazing. She has the skin of a 15-year-old. And I always think, much like if you went to a PT and you wanted to transform your body shape, you wouldn't go necessarily to an overweight PT. She is very much practice what she preaches. So she doesn't wear makeup, she looks unbelievably natural, and she does everything in the most natural way possible. She will say no to people as well. So if you want something done that she thinks might look, you know, might not look natural enough, then she won't do it.
I think
so.
That is important.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to go to somebody who will tell you to stop when you need. And to have somebody who, much like a best friend, will, if you're asking for something, will say, do you know what, no, because it's going to make them look bad. Yeah, you are very good at that. She says no a lot. But in that sort of arena, it's really, really, really important to be told when to stop.
Agreed. So moving on to you.
I haven't had anything done.
She's very natural.
Or lazy. So whatever you
I mean, you don't need it, to be fair, but it's all personal preference as well.
Completely.
Like, Annie has not yet got to a point where she feels like she wants any tweakments done. I reached that point a couple of years ago. But like I said, I have only had Botox. I've never had fillers. I've not had my lips done. That's actually a lie. And I don't even know if you know this, I first tried having my lips done 3 years ago, and I only had it done once. I had the tiniest amount, and because of my phobia of needles, it was so horrific that I couldn't really finish the treatment, and I only had it done in the top as well, and I've never ever had it done again.
Why don't you talk through exactly what the appointment, how the appointment went and what they did? Because I mean, I think I did know that because you told me, but I'm really, really hot on noticing when people have had stuff done, and there's been a couple of times when I've said they've definitely had that done. You've been like, really?
Well, that covers off a couple of our questions as well, because a couple of people sent over, what do you think of lip fillers? Is there an alternative treatment to lip fillers, which you can then go into? But yeah, in regards to lip fillers, you know, you can't really go in with a picture of someone and say, I want my lips to look like that, because they have to work with, if you go to a professional anyway, they will tell you, they have to work with the shape of your own lips. So you can't completely transform your lip shape. You can plump them up, you can give it more volume, you can slightly define the shape more, but you cannot completely transform your lips, unfortunately. So I went saying to the woman that, and this was 3 years ago, and I said that I notice when I talk, and obviously I've been speaking on camera a lot more over the years, that my top lip kind of almost goes under itself a little bit, which now you're all going to be aware of. And so I wanted to just have slightly more volume in my top lip so that I didn't feel like my top lip disappeared when I spoke. So she marks out the area. You can't have any numbing treatment on your lips, whereas you can with Botox. But with your lips, if you were to numb them, it would slightly change how you hold them, and so then they couldn't put the filler in. So they mark out the shape, you have no numbing treatment, and a needle does just go in from all different angles. Now, for me, she went from kind of underneath here, and that was purely to put more shape around the top and almost give it more definition. Now for me, I didn't like, and I've never liked, the slightly tubular effect that you get with lip fillers. And I didn't like, although I had such a small amount, I didn't like that tubular, as I said earlier, like jelly-like effect that it gave my lips. It just felt really unnatural. Filling now. To answer someone else's question, which was, is there an alternative to lip fillers? Annie is definitely aware of an alternative, which she can tell you about.
So that's called the lip lift, and I think it'll be quite big in the next couple of years. And basically what that does, your specialist will make sort of a slight incision in the base of your nose, and it's almost like a tuck. You just want to be close to me.
Oh yeah, that too, but also I want you to be on screen.
It just creates a slight tuck and draws your top lip back a bit, so it puckers it up. So it's not adding anything into your actual lip. I don't know, some specialists might want to do that as well. It is really dependent on the overall aesthetic of your face. But I do think that'll be quite popular, and I think you end up with the tiniest scar, but it's in the shadow of your nose. And obviously I haven't tried it myself. It's something that I don't know, it's quite new. So I think it'll take a lot of trying out to see whether that's a viable option. But I do think it's an alternative to adding volume to your lips, and quite often what happens with that process is that people get it done over and over again, and obviously it might look good the first few times, and because the sort of volume will deplete, you do sometimes need to go back and get it done.
Often, yeah. But then you end up with that kind of
rigidity, yeah, it's the duck mouth. But that as well, I do think, comes from a slight dysmorphia, in the same way that, you know, back in the day when certainly I was using shed loads of fake tan, I would get used to a certain level of fake tan and think I needed more, and then to people who sort of knew me more,
you look like
orange, yeah, because it kind of distorts how you view yourself.
I think something to flag up as well that we definitely share the same opinion on is that whilst we might have treatment, I think both of us are very much in favour of a natural look. We want expression in our faces, we want laughter lines. You know, whilst I have Botox, I've got full movement in my forehead, I've got all my lines around here when I smile and here. So I think whatever we have done, the two of us personally prefer a more natural look. Right, moving on, just so that we can fit these all in. Botox nose jobs. Who has it done? Who has had it done well, and where? Now I can answer that because I do know another blogger that actually vlogged her experience of a Botox nose job, and I personally think it looks amazing. I don't think you can tell that she's had her nose done when you see her walking down the street, for example, and that is Lydia Millen. She vlogged the whole thing, which I'm sure you can find on her YouTube channel, and it was merely a correctional treatment for her, I believe. So, whose lips do you think look good and that you know for a fact have had lip fillers? Now, I follow another blogger. She is on Instagram as Bruna Bear. This is spelled B-R-U-N-A and then B-E-A-R, Bruna Bear. She has been very honest about her lip fillers, and I personally think they look amazing. I think they fit very well with her face, with her whole look. I think they look natural. She is one girl to go and look at.
I think lip definition's worth talking about as well, because with going for the fillers too much, one of the side effects is losing that pigmentation that defines your lips. So keep an eye on that, and again, that you said it's worth checking her out in that case.
Moving on, what age should you start any cosmetic procedures, do you think?
I think it's when something is really taking up headspace. the reason I haven't had anything done is that, and I've had opportunities to do so, but there is nothing that keeps playing on my mind. If I had a frown line that wouldn't go away and I was really, really bothered about it and it was affecting me day to day when I was looking in the mirror, that's when I look into having something done. But I personally don't think it's something you should be doing willy-nilly just to try something out, because it's changing your physical features.
So are there any treatments you could have instead of Botox and fillers? Yes. There are obviously so many laser treatments out there on the market now that have, similar skin tightening and firming effects. There's thermage, there's Fraxel tightening, which, by the way, is quite hardcore. God, what else? There's even chemical peels.
Yeah.
There are definite alternatives that means you don't have to go down the Botox and filler route. Again, looking at your skincare routine and the products you use will also help.
Your lifestyle too, I think.
For sure, having enough water, cutting down on alcohol, sugar, all these things. So, 3 more questions left because we've already gone over time.
Okay.
Thread lift surgery, what do you know about it?
Okay, so thread lift, if I'm looking at before and afters, the thread lift procedure is one that's really, really impressed me. And it sounds a tad gruesome because basically what they do is specifically good for sort of redefining your jaw and your neck. And your specialist will insert these very fine threads through your face tissue in different lines. And as far as I know, most places you pay per thread, which makes a lot of sense. And as they insert them, these threads have tiny, tiny, tiny hooks on them, which when pulled back, claw in and pull your tissue back. And it's the most effective result I've seen for such a, it's not super minor, but relatively minor when you look at facelift procedures. And so I've always said that if I was going to get anything done when I was older and things start to go down,
go south,
that's something I'd look to, because I've been really, really impressed, and they've been around for quite a while. Which
sounds
makes
horrific.
I've heard that it's really not that traumatising though. Go in, there's not that much downtime, you'll get a bit of bruising,
compared to a ordinary facelift.
Exactly.
I guess. Okay, final 2 questions that we are going to try and do quickly. How do you get rid of jowls? So jowls is the kind of excess skin that you get around here. There are so many ways to get rid of them. As Annie said, diet, the more boring things like that, but more natural.
Thread lifts that we've talked about.
Fillers can definitely counteract it. Skin tightening through laser treatments, Fraxel, thermage, all of that will definitely help and counteract jowls. Final question, how can I lift my brows with the help of Botox? This is very much all about placement. Obviously with Botox you're injecting into the muscle, so you do have to be so careful with the placement of the needle and where you're injecting the Botox. And my mum has been having Botox for several years now. There are times where either her brow will sag or her brow will arch. And don't get me wrong, it has provided no end of entertainment for us. There was one particular New Year's Eve where she was just Spock on one eyebrow. And it was hands down the funniest New Year's Eve I've ever had.
I really thank you for that little...
Sorry, Mum. But, you never know how your muscles are going to react, and it's not instantaneous. Her Spock eyebrow came 10 days after her Botox, and it then calms down, but your muscles can obviously, what's the word I'm looking for? Retract and act in different ways days after the treatment before they settle back down again. So it is all down to the esthetician that you've gone to, and where they're applying it, and also sticking with them so that they get to know how your muscles and your face does react. But anyway, we have spoken for far too long. This was supposed to be brief, but hopefully it's helped, hopefully it's proved insightful. And if you have any more questions, obviously get in touch with Annie. I've linked her Instagram here, or me. Send over anything and everything. If there's something that perhaps you didn't want to ask because you were worried it might appear on the video, send it over. And watch this space for more videos. Annie will be appearing on more.
Oh, good. I'm obviously impressed.